If your life feels stuck, it's not bad luck, it's your habits. You say you want success, but do your actions really show it? Most people wait for motivation. They scroll videos hoping something will change. But nothing changes until you change how you show up every day. This video is not about hype. It's about what really works. It's about why some people grow fast while others stay in the same place for years. We'll break it down step by step. How to attract success by actually becoming someone success wants to follow. No filters, no fake advice, just real talk. If you're tired of starting over, tired of feeling behind, and ready to take full control of your life, this is exactly where you need to be. Watch this till the end, and watch how your mindset starts to shift. Chapter 1. Stop lying to yourself and face the truth. You know, one of the hardest things to do in life is to stop lying to yourself. Not to your friends, not to your family, those are different challenges. But the moment you stop lying to yourself, you begin the real work of changing your life. Most people don't fail because they don't have talent. They don't fail because they're not smart. They fail because they lie to themselves about who they are, what they're doing, and where their life is really going. And until you stop that, you can't attract success, because success starts with the truth. Always. If you want success, the first thing you need is honesty. Pure, uncomfortable, personal honesty. Ask yourself right now, are you proud of how you spend your time every day? Are you living like someone who truly wants to succeed? Or are you just saying you want success while your actions prove otherwise? This is where most people lose the game. They say one thing, but their life shows something different. You can't build a great life on excuses. You can't attract success when you're avoiding your own reality. If you say you want to be in shape, but you haven't worked out in weeks, don't lie. If you say you want to be successful, but you waste your mornings scrolling through your phone, don't lie. If you say you want to be focused, but you surround yourself with distractions, stop lying. Because the longer you pretend, the longer you stay stuck. You see, success isn't fooled by words. It's attracted to behavior. And the truth is, your current life is already giving you signals. Look around you. Look at your finances. Look at your health. Look at how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Those are your results. They're not random. They are exactly what you've built based on the truth or the lies you've told yourself every single day. And if you don't like what you see, then something inside needs to change. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. You don't need a miracle. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to tell yourself the truth. That's where power begins. That's where growth starts. When you say, I haven't been honest about my habits. I haven't been consistent. I've been taking the easy way out. When you finally own that, you free yourself. Because now, you're not pretending anymore. Now you're in control. People often wait for motivation. They wait for the right time. But the truth is, the right time shows up when you get honest. Motivation grows when you stop running from your reality and face it. You don't need anyone else to fix your life. You need to get serious with yourself. When you stand in front of the mirror and say, "This is on me," you take the first real step towards success. You see, lying to yourself is comforting. That's why people do it. It makes you feel better. Temporarily. It allows you to avoid the discomfort of change. But the pain of the lie will always catch up with you. Maybe not today, but eventually. The truth is uncomfortable at first, but it sets you free. It gives you direction. It pushes you to take ownership. You want success? Stop blaming things outside of you. Stop pointing fingers. Stop pretending things are just fine when they're not. If your health is declining, face it. If your mindset is negative, admit it. If your time management is poor, own it. That level of honesty is rare, but that's why success is rare, because it only shows up in the lives of people who are willing to deal with what's real. You don't fix what you won't face, and what you don't face starts to control you. When you tell yourself, "I'm doing the best I can," but deep down you know you're not, you create internal conflict. That conflict eats away at your confidence. It makes you feel stuck. It's not because you're incapable. It's because deep down you know you're not giving your best, and that truth haunts you whether you admit it or not. But here's the good news. The moment you face the truth, you get your power back. You stop pretending. You stop wasting time. You stop waiting for someone to come save you. You become your own rescue team. And that's when success starts to find you. Not when you become perfect, but when you become real. There's something powerful about standing in your own truth. When you look at your life and say, "This is where I'm at. These are my flaws. These are my strengths. This is what I need to work on." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's growth. The reason most people never improve is because they can't admit where they're falling short. They protect their ego, they avoid judgment, but in doing so, they also avoid success. You see, the person who lies to others is a liar, but the person who lies to themselves is lost. And success cannot follow someone who is lost inside their own mind. Success wants to follow someone who is grounded, someone who is honest, someone who doesn't pretend to be further ahead than they are. If you want to grow, start by accepting exactly where you are, and then start working forward from there. No more acting like you have it all figured out. No more telling people you're disciplined when your results say otherwise. Stop putting on a mask. Start doing the work. You're not weak for admitting your faults. You're strong for being aware of them. You're not broken. You're human, and every human can grow. But growth only begins when you accept the truth. No shortcuts, no filters, just raw honesty. You don't have to share your truth with the world, but you have to face it with yourself. Every day, every night. When you miss your goals, don't make excuses. Reflect. When you lose your focus, don't defend it. Correct it. That's how you build discipline. That's how you grow confidence. You prove to yourself that you're not afraid to deal with the real work. And I'll tell you something else. Success doesn't just respond to strategy. It responds to alignment. When your words match your actions, when your dreams match your effort, when your goals match your discipline, you become aligned. And that alignment pulls success toward you. It's not magic. It's consistency built on truth. The opposite of truth is fantasy, and too many people are living in it. They want results without effort. They want praise without work. They want respect without sacrifice. That doesn't happen. Life doesn't reward fantasy, it rewards action. And the only way to take meaningful action is to build it on honest foundations. You have to ask yourself, what do I really want? And what am I doing every single day to earn that life? The truth might hurt, but it will guide you. And that guidance is worth everything. It's the only thing that never lies to you. So stop sugarcoating things. Stop saying, "I'll change when I feel better." No, you'll feel better when you change. Start holding yourself to a higher standard. Look at your schedule. Look at your attitude. Look at your results. If they don't match the life you say you want, then something has to change. And that change starts with truth. Start today. Sit down with yourself. No distractions, no noise, just you. Ask yourself the hard questions. Answer them honestly. What are you avoiding? What are you hiding from? What needs your attention right now? The answers will come, and when they do, don't run from them, run toward them. That's where your new life begins. And remember, nobody's coming to fix it for you. Nobody's coming to force you to be honest. This is between you and you. The greatest respect you'll ever earn is self-respect, and self-respect grows when you live in truth. So if you want to attract success, start here. Stop lying to yourself. Face the truth. Own your flaws. Own your potential, and start becoming the person who deserves the life they dream about. That's how it starts. That's how success shows up. Through truth, through discipline, through ownership. And if you keep showing up like that, day after day, then one day success won't be something you chase, it'll be something you naturally attract. Because you've become someone who lives in truth, and that's who success belongs to. Chapter 2. Fix the things you keep avoiding every day. The longer you avoid something, the heavier it becomes. That's a fact of life. And it doesn't matter how small the task is. Once you push it aside, it grows in your mind. It starts following you around. You might not notice it at first, but it drains your energy, takes your focus, and slowly chips away at your self-respect. Success doesn't hide in comfort. It waits behind the things you keep putting off. And if you truly want to attract success into your life, then you have to face the things you've been avoiding. Not tomorrow, not later, today. We all have something we avoid. For some, it's that conversation they know they need to have. For others, it's cleaning up the mess they've let pile up, physically or mentally. It might be the gym, it might be their finance, it might be building a new habit or breaking an old one. The list doesn't matter. What matters is the pattern. Every time you ignore it, it grows. Not just in size, but in weight. You start feeling tired, not because you've done too much, but because you've carried too much that you've never dealt with. Most people want to improve their life, but they delay the one thing that would make a difference. Action on what's being avoided. They say things like, "I'll get to it later," or "I'm not in the right mindset." But later becomes never, and the right mindset never comes without movement. You don't wait to feel good. You move through what you don't want to do, and then the feeling changes. That's how real change begins. Look at your day. Look at how you spend your time. Chances are, there's something you've been skipping. It's always in the back of your mind. It might be a phone call, a decision, a step, a task you've delayed for weeks or months. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you weaken your ability to trust yourself. And self-trust is the root of confidence. Without it, your energy drops, your discipline suffers, your belief fades. You start doubting your ability to follow through, and that doubt keeps you stuck. Now ask yourself this: what if the thing you're avoiding is the exact thing that would change everything? What if success is on the other side of it? What if your peace, your progress, your self-worth, all of it, is waiting behind that wall you keep refusing to climb? You'll never know until you go toward it. Success doesn't show up for those who keep running from what they need to face. It shows up for those who stop negotiating with themselves. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about choosing one thing and dealing with it fully. Clean your room. Answer that email. Apply for that opportunity. Have that tough conversation. Cut out the junk you keep returning to. Whatever it is, do it now. Because your progress starts where your avoidance ends. Some people believe that avoiding things protects their energy. That's not true. Avoidance doesn't save your energy, it steals it. It doesn't protect your peace, it breaks it. When you know something is unfinished or unaddressed, your mind stays busy. Your emotions stay unsettled. You can't fully focus on anything else because part of you is still tied to what's being left undone. When you face what you avoid, something powerful happens. You feel lighter, you feel clearer, you feel more in control. Even if it's hard, even if it's uncomfortable, you grow, and that growth isn't temporary. It stays with you. It becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who handles things, someone who moves forward, someone who doesn't hide from what matters. A successful life isn't built on big leaps. It's built on small decisions to handle what's real. You take care of your responsibilities. You stop saying, "I should," and start saying, "I did." You deal with your finances. You fix your health. You clean your space. You cut off toxic habits. You do what's necessary, not because it's easy, but because it's needed. There is no such thing as successful avoidance. Ignoring things doesn't make them go away. It just delays the lesson. And the longer you delay, the harder the lesson becomes. If you want to attract success, you must grow up mentally. You must mature emotionally. You must stop expecting your life to change while your habits stay the same. Growth is not comfortable. But comfort is not what you need right now. You need clarity. You need strength. And that comes from handling the difficult things. Stop waiting for motivation to arrive. That's a trap. Motivation grows through action, not the other way around. When you start handling the little things, you create momentum. When you build momentum, you build trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, you unlock a different level of power. That power doesn't come from talent, it doesn't come from knowledge. It comes from doing what others avoid. While they're thinking, you're moving. While they're hesitating, you're acting. And that difference compounds. Days become weeks, weeks become months. Suddenly your life looks different, not because of luck, but because you kept showing up where others ran away. There's no reward for running from what's hard. The reward lives in the work you refuse to skip. And every day you choose to avoid something, you teach your mind that you're not in control. You tell yourself that pressure wins, discomfort wins. But when you face the thing you avoid, even if it's messy, you teach your mind a new truth. You teach yourself that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you are not the same person you used to be. Avoidance creates a prison. It keeps you locked inside your limitations. It feeds the belief that this is just who I am. But action breaks the chains. One uncomfortable task at a time. One unfinished thing at a time. The freedom you want, the peace you crave, it doesn't come from escape. It comes from action. It comes from taking control of what you've left behind. So, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now? And be honest. Don't hide behind busyness. Don't justify it. Don't minimize it. Name it. Then go handle it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because the sooner you face it, the sooner it stops controlling you. And remember this, every time you do the thing you've been avoiding, your future gets brighter. Not because the task is magical, but because you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't run. That's how success finds you. It's not impressed by talk. It's not drawn to delay. It's attracted to action. Consistent, honest, uncomfortable action. There is power in doing the small things. They shape who you are. They shape how you see yourself. And eventually, they shape how others see you too. People trust the person who handles what they say they'll handle. You trust the person in the mirror when they stop leaving things undone. So stop chasing perfection. Start completing what matters. It's time to stop leaving things halfway. Start finishing, start following through. You'll never build a strong life on weak decisions. And avoiding what's hard is always a weak decision. Not because you're weak, but because you're allowing fear to lead. But you can change that. You can decide that today you will face what you've been putting off. You will act. And you will keep acting, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching, because that's what builds success. Quiet daily action on what matters most. Not dramatic effort, not perfect timing, just real work. Done with intention, done with purpose, done now. Your future is shaped by what you're avoiding today. And if you keep pushing it away, you'll stay exactly where you are. But if you start dealing with it, step by step, piece by piece, you will move forward. And you'll move with power. Because you've earned it. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through honest, consistent, uncomfortable work. That's how success becomes yours. That's how you attract it. Not by talking about what you want, but by doing what others avoid. So go do the thing. You already know what it is. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to feel ready. You're ready when you act. Start now. Start strong. And don't stop.
Chapter 3. Show up even when your mind resists it. There's a moment each day when your mind starts negotiating with you. You feel the resistance. You hear the thoughts. Take it easy today. You can do it later. One day off won't hurt. It sounds reasonable. It feels safe, but it's a trap. That voice isn't your potential talking. It's your comfort. And if you keep listening to it, you'll keep delaying the life you're capable of living. If you want to attract real success, you have to learn to show up, even when your mind doesn't want to. Especially then. You will never build anything meaningful if you only act when you feel good. Feelings are temporary. They come and go. Discipline stays. It keeps you anchored when motivation disappears. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel excited. But those moments don't define you. What defines you is your ability to move forward regardless of how you feel. There are people out there with half your talent and twice your results. Not because they're better than you, but because they kept showing up when it got hard. They worked when it was boring. They trained when it was cold. They stayed focused when no one was watching. That's what creates separation. Not luck, not talent, just daily decisions made in moments of resistance. The mind wants ease. It seeks pleasure. It avoids stress. That's how we're wired. But growth isn't found in ease. It's earned in effort. That uncomfortable space where everything in you says, stop, and you decide to move anyway. That's where strength is built. That's where success starts to notice you. Not when you talk about your goals, but when you do the work your feelings try to skip. The path to success isn't a highlight reel. It's not made up of perfect mornings and flawless execution. It's full of days where your body is tired, your mind is distracted, and your energy is low. And on those days, showing up matters even more, because each time you do something hard, you raise your standard, you build proof, and that proof becomes your belief. Every time you follow through when it's tough, you take back control. You train yourself to act without needing permission from your mood. You stop relying on motivation. You develop discipline, and that discipline begins to shape your identity. Suddenly, you're not the person who gives up when it's hard. You're not the person who needs everything to feel right. You become someone who acts because it's necessary, not because it's convenient. Start paying attention to your patterns. How often do you delay tasks because they don't feel good in the moment? How often do you skip your plans because something else was easier? That's the resistance winning. And the more it wins, the more it trains you to depend on comfort. Success is not built on comfort. It's built on doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel in that moment. Some of your biggest breakthroughs will come from days where you felt the weakest, because pushing through when your mind says stop rewires your thinking. It proves that you're stronger than your thoughts, that you're not a victim of your feelings, that you can lead your life with action instead of emotion. You don't need a perfect plan to move forward. You need to show up. If you said you'd train, train. If you said you'd write, if you said you'd study, study. Not because you feel like it, because you promised yourself you would. And every time you keep that promise, you build a reputation with yourself. That reputation becomes confidence. That confidence becomes momentum. People who succeed don't have fewer excuses. They just stop giving those excuses power. Everyone has doubt. Everyone feels resistance. The difference is who moves anyway, who refuses to be controlled by how they feel. If you wait until everything aligns, you'll be waiting forever. If you take action in spite of resistance, you'll keep growing. There's real power in consistency, not flashy consistency. Quiet consistency. The kind no one sees. The kind where you wake up tired and show up anyway. The kind where you feel overwhelmed but take the next step anyway. That's the consistency that builds winners. Not because it's pretty, but because it's real. Your mind will always offer you an easier path. It will always try to convince you to delay the hard work, to skip what matters. That voice never goes away. But you can get louder. You can create a stronger voice, one that says, I'm going anyway. I'm doing it anyway. I'm not letting this stop me. And over time, that voice becomes your normal. And that new normal becomes the foundation of your success. You don't become successful by avoiding hard days. You become successful by walking through them with purpose. Show up tired. Show up stressed. Show up unmotivated. Just keep showing up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. Every time you skip what matters, you weaken your direction. Every time you show up in resistance, you strengthen your identity. That's the truth. That's how success is attracted. Through repeated effort in moments when quitting feels easier. Think about who you want to become. Think about the life you want to live. Now ask yourself, does that version of you show up only when it's easy? Or do they show up when it's tough, when it's inconvenient, when it's lonely, when it's draining? That version of you doesn't wait for the perfect mood. They build their life on follow-through. They don't wait for energy. They create energy through motion. Don't overthink the process. Don't complicate it. You know what needs to be done. The only thing standing in the way is the part of you that wants to wait. The part that wants comfort more than change. You don't have to eliminate that voice. You just have to stop obeying it. There will be mornings you don't want to get out of bed. Evenings you don't want to push forward. Tasks that feel heavy. But the only way you grow through those moments is by stepping into them, not around them. Each step becomes a statement. You're telling yourself, I do hard things. You're proving to your future self that resistance doesn't own you. That's how leaders are built. That's how greatness is created. Not in one big decision, but in thousands of small ones made in silence, when no one is watching, when your body is tired, when your mind is screaming for rest, and you still choose to keep going. That discipline becomes the edge. That edge sets you apart. Because most people will always wait for better days. They'll say, I'll do it when I'm in the right mindset. But success doesn't wait. It moves toward the one who acts when it's hardest. It follows the person who keeps showing up when others don't. It's easy to be average. It's easy to start and stop. What's rare is consistency. without conditions, effort without excuses, action without feelings. That's the difference between wishing for success and attracting it. So next time your mind says, "Not today," remind yourself that today is the only day that matters. Tomorrow is a guess. Yesterday is gone. What you do now is what shapes your life. If you don't feel like doing it, good. That's the sign you should do it. Because every time you override that feeling, you become stronger. Success is not just the reward, it's also the result of becoming someone who doesn't back down when it's difficult. That's the kind of person who wins. That's the kind of life that creates real peace, not because it's easy, but because it's earned. So get up when you're tired, work when it's hard, focus when you're distracted, act when it feels pointless, move when your mind says stop, and keep doing it every day. Not for praise, not for perfection, but because this is who you've chosen to be. This is how you change, this is how you grow, and this is how you attract success. Not by waiting, not by wishing, but by becoming the person who keeps showing up when resistance says quit.
Chapter 4. Do what makes you uncomfortable on purpose daily. Every person who wants to grow must learn to step into discomfort. Not once in a while, not only when forced, but every single day. Doing what feels safe won't change your life. It just keeps you exactly where you are. If you want to attract success, you have to stop chasing comfort and start choosing discomfort on purpose. You have to stop waiting for life to push you and start pushing yourself into situations that stretch you, test you, and wake you up. You don't grow by avoiding fear. You grow by doing what feels hard until it starts to feel normal. The truth is, most people live their entire life trying to feel safe. They build routines that never challenge them. They avoid people who question their choices. They turn down opportunities that feel unfamiliar, but in doing that, they also turn down growth. They shut the door on strength. They delay their potential. The people who become strong, confident, and respected didn't get there by luck. They got there because they forced themselves to take on what they didn't want to do. They walked toward fear, not away from it. They did the things that made them sweat, shake, and doubt themselves, and every time they did, they earned more of who they were meant to become. Doing what makes you uncomfortable is not about punishment, it's about freedom. Every time you do something that scares you, you take the limits off your life. You tell yourself, "I'm not afraid of growth." You prove to yourself that fear is not a wall, it's a signal. A signal that says, there's something here worth doing. Discomfort is not a sign to stop, it's a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Growth and fear often walk together. If you keep waiting for the fear to go away before you act, you'll stay stuck forever. The fear doesn't leave before action. It leaves because of action. You have to train yourself to move through it, not around it. Think about your daily life. How often do you lean into what makes you nervous? How often do you start conversations that make you sweat? How often do you take on tasks that feel bigger than you? Most people avoid those situations, and that's exactly why their life doesn't change. You can't change your results if you keep living inside your comfort zone. The life you want lives just outside what feels easy. If you avoid discomfort, you avoid the very experiences that will make you grow. It's not about taking big leaps every day. It's about small decisions that stretch you. Speaking when you usually stay quiet, waking up when you want to sleep in, starting the thing you've put off, saying yes when fear says no. Those moments matter, not because they're dramatic, but because they build resilience. They build courage. They remind you that the real you is stronger than the voice in your head that says, stay safe. Every day is a chance to challenge yourself.
Every day is a chance to say, I will not be controlled by fear. You don't need to climb a mountain. You just need to pick something that makes you uncomfortable and do it. That's how you grow. That's how you earn your confidence. Not by hearing compliments, not by waiting for someone to push you, but by showing up for yourself when it's hard, by doing the things that make your heart beat faster, the things that make your hands shake, the things that make you doubt if you're ready. That's where change happens. You can't attract success if you only do what's easy, because success doesn't show up for people who hide. It shows up for people who take risks. It follows those who are willing to feel awkward, uncertain, and uncomfortable. You have to get used to being uncomfortable if you want to do anything that matters. Comfort makes you forget what you're capable of. It makes you lazy with your goals. It makes you talk more than you act. Discomfort, on the other hand, wakes you up. It makes you pay attention. It puts you in situations where you're forced to grow or stay small, and every time you choose to grow, your world gets bigger. One of the worst habits you can have is waiting to feel ready. That feeling doesn't come. Readiness is created by doing. You earn your confidence by walking into situations that scare you and figuring it out while you're there. That's how every strong person was built, through repetition, through discomfort, through showing up again and again, even when nothing felt perfect. Your mind will try to protect you. It will tell you, that's not for you. It will say, you're not good enough. It will remind you of all your past mistakes. Don't listen. That voice is fear talking, and fear will keep you average. Fear will keep you hidden. But you're not meant to live hidden. You're meant to live fully. And you can't do that unless you make discomfort part of your daily life. Take control of your habits. Ask yourself, what can I do today that I usually avoid? Then do it. Make it a routine. Start small if you have to. But keep building the habit of stepping into situations that stretch you. Call the person. Ask the question. Speak your truth. Push your limits. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move anyway. You will fail sometime. You will stumble. That's okay. That's how you learn. That's how you build real strength. Strength doesn't come from perfect performance. It comes from persistence, from showing up the next day and doing it again. That's what separates those who grow from those who stay the same. If you avoid every uncomfortable thing, your life shrinks. You become more cautious, more fearful, more reactive. But if you step into it, your life expands. You become bolder, more focused, more alive, and that energy pulls new opportunities into your life. Because when you grow, your life grows with you. You don't need approval. You need effort. You don't need comfort. You need challenge. Every time you pick the harder option on purpose, you're becoming someone stronger, someone more disciplined, someone who no longer waits for change, but becomes the reason for it. That's the person success is drawn to. Not the one who waits for fear to go away, but the one who walks through it anyway. Not the one who hides behind easy routines, but the one who wakes up and says, what can I do today to grow? That person doesn't just attract success, they build it, one day at a time. And you can become that person. It's not a gift, it's a choice. You have to choose discomfort, not when it's forced, but every day, with intention, with purpose, with commitment. You have to say, this scares me, so I will do it. And the more you do, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, discomfort becomes familiar. You stop avoiding it. You start seeking it, and that's when you know you've changed. Because now you're no longer afraid of pressure. You welcome it. You understand that pressure builds strength. That fear brings growth. That resistance is a sign you're doing something important. You can't build a powerful life in a weak routine. You can't live fully by playing it safe. Do the thing. Face the fear. Take the leap. Start today, and then do it again tomorrow. Not for perfection, not for praise, but because every time you do, you become someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who no longer needs permission to grow. That's how you win. That's how you build a life you're proud of, by walking into the hard things, on purpose, until nothing can hold you back. And when that becomes who you are, success doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like a natural result of who you've chosen to be.
Chapter 5. Let go of people who drain your energy. One of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life is deciding who gets access to your time, your mind, and your energy. Because not everyone around you is helping you grow. Some people are holding you back, not with loud opposition, but with quiet negativity. They drain your motivation, cloud your thinking, and slow down your progress, and the longer you keep them in your life, the more of yourself you lose. If you truly want to attract success, you must learn how to let go of the people who constantly pull you in the wrong direction. There's a truth that people often avoid. Your environment shapes your direction, and people are the biggest part of that environment. You might have the best goals, the strongest intentions, and the clearest vision, but if you're surrounded by individuals who constantly doubt, complain, and limit themselves, their energy will start to influence your pace. You'll start shrinking to stay comfortable around them. You'll start doubting your ambition just to avoid standing out. That's how slow destruction happens. Not all at once, bit by bit, through constant exposure to the wrong mindset. You are not meant to carry everyone. You are not responsible for saving people who don't want to grow. It's noble to care, but it's dangerous to stay stuck out of guilt. Some people have chosen their patterns. They've chosen to stay in the same story for years, and when you start rising, they won't cheer, they'll question you. Not because you're wrong, but because your growth challenges their comfort. Letting go is not betrayal. It's protection. It's protecting your focus, your energy, and your emotional health. Because every time you give too much to someone who takes without giving back, you weaken your ability to give to yourself. And without your energy, you can't build anything worthwhile. You'll feel stuck, not because you don't have what it takes, but because too much of your time is spent managing relationships that don't feed your purpose. Think about the people you talk to most. Do you feel more alive after speaking to them? Do you feel inspired? Or do you feel drained? Do you feel smaller? Do you catch yourself second-guessing your decisions because of their input? That feeling is not random, it's feedback, and you must start listening to it. Success doesn't just require discipline, it requires protection. Protecting your space, protecting your focus, protecting your energy from people who bring chaos, drama, or discouragement into your life. It's not about cutting people off with anger. It's about choosing peace over noise, progress over excuses, growth over guilt. Some people want your time but not your success. They enjoy your company, not your ambition. Because as long as you stay like them, they feel safe. But the moment you start changing, they feel exposed. They'll say you've changed. And that's true. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve. And not everyone will come with you. That's a part of the process. It's not easy. Walking away from people who've been in your life for years feels heavy. But ask yourself, what's the cost of staying close to someone who doesn't want better for you? What does it take from you to constantly shrink so someone else feels comfortable? That cost adds up. It turns into stress. It turns into lost potential. It turns into years wasted around people who were never meant to stay for the whole journey. You don't have to make a scene.
You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Just create distance. Spend less time, speak less often. Choose your focus, and over time, you'll start to notice something. You feel lighter. You feel clearer. Your mind gets quieter. Your goals feel closer. That's the power of letting go of people who drain you. Not everyone in your life will be toxic. Some will just be misaligned. Their values don't match yours. Their lifestyle pulls you backward. You're trying to build discipline. They invite you to escape it. You're trying to stay focused. They distract you with their problems. You're trying to stay positive. They flood you with complaints. Even if they're not trying to hurt you, the result is still the same. You lose progress. You lose clarity. Start taking full ownership of your circle. You don't get to control other people, but you get to choose who has access to your world. You don't have to keep someone close just because you have history. What matters more than your past with them is your future without them. If someone costs you your peace, your growth, your goals, that's too expensive. And no emotional attachment is worth trading your potential. It's also important to realize that letting go creates space. Space for people who do uplift you. Space for people who challenge you in a good way. People who want to grow. People who think bigger. People who ask, "What are you building?" instead of saying, "Why are you doing all?" You attract those people more easily when you stop wasting your energy trying to carry everyone from your past. Growth is lonely at first, but it's not meant to stay that way. It's lonely because you're leaving behind a version of your life that wasn't serving you. But as you keep rising, new people will show up. People on the same mission. People who push you to stay sharp. And you can't find them if your hands are full of people who refuse to grow. Pay attention to your energy after every interaction. Notice who drains you, who distracts you, and who depletes your focus. Don't ignore that feeling. That's your intuition telling you something is off. And the longer you silence that voice, the longer you stay stuck. Letting go isn't cruel. Staying connected to people who drain you is what's cruel to yourself, because you are the one who pays the price. In missed opportunities, in wasted effort, in slowed progress. You owe it to yourself to move forward, even if that means leaving some people behind. And don't think that everyone who drains you is obvious. Sometimes it's the ones who pretend to care. The ones who say they support you but always throw in doubt. The ones who smile but secretly compete with you. The ones who make jokes about your discipline or dream. That energy is subtle, but it's real. And it's powerful enough to keep you small if you don't protect yourself from it. You are not selfish for choosing your future. You are not rude for choosing peace. You are not heartless for distancing yourself from people who don't understand where you're going. That's maturity. That's clarity. That's strength. So start today. Look around, take inventory of who is in your daily space. Who gets your time? Who gets your energy? Who gets access to your thoughts? Then ask yourself, are these people pushing me forward or pulling me back? And once you answer that question honestly, act on it. Because holding on to the wrong people doesn't just slow you down, it makes the journey heavier than it needs to be. And when you carry weight that isn't yours, you start to lose your own direction. Your clarity fades, your fire dims. Don't let that happen. Build your life like it matters. Choose your relationships with intention. And be willing to walk away from anyone who no longer aligns with your growth, even if it's difficult, even if it hurts. Because the pain of letting go is temporary, but the reward of becoming who you were meant to be lasts forever.
Chapter 6. Build trust with yourself through small daily wins. Most people don't struggle because they lack potential. They struggle because they don't trust themselves. And that lack of trust shows up in quiet ways: unfinished plans, broken routines, promises made in the morning and forgotten by the afternoon.
They say they'll wake up early, but they snooze the alarm. They say they'll stop scrolling, but an hour slips by. They say they'll be consistent, but they disappear after 3 days. The problem isn't ability. The problem is that they've told themselves too many things they didn't follow through on. And every time you say something and don't act on it, you weaken the bond between who you are and who you want to become. Trust is not built overnight. It doesn't come from one big achievement. It grows from the daily decisions you make when no one is watching. It starts with the small things, the things so simple that most people overlook them. But those small wins, they shape everything, because each time you do what you said you would do, you're not just checking off a task, you're proving to yourself that your word means something. Think about it. If someone made you a promise every day and broke it every day, would you believe them anymore? That's exactly how your mind works. You tell yourself you'll be disciplined, you'll eat right, you'll stay focused, and then you don't. After a while, even your own mind stops believing you. That's where the frustration comes from. That's why you feel stuck. It's not because you're weak. It's because you've lost your own trust. The way back is not through big gestures. It's not through trying to change everything in 1 week. It's through the small wins you earn daily. Simple actions, done with consistency, not for anyone else, but for you. Make your bed in the morning. Show up to your schedule on time. Say no to distractions once a day. Do what you said you'd do even when it's inconvenient. These aren't just habits. They are signals. Signals that say, I'm building someone I can believe in. You'll notice a shift when you start stacking those wins. It won't feel dramatic at first. It might even feel boring. But that's the foundation you need. Because trust isn't built through hype. It's built through quiet reliability. Every day you do what you said, your confidence grows. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that says, I've got this, without needing applause. A lot of people chase motivation, but you don't need more motivation. You need more evidence. You need to give yourself real proof that you follow through. Because when you know you can trust yourself, you don't need to wait to feel ready. You just act. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for the perfect mood or the right moment. You act because you trust that your small steps will lead to big results, and those results start to compound. One day of follow-through leads to another. You start completing what you start. You stop making excuses. You stop feeling stuck, and you begin to feel in control, not of everything, but of yourself. And that's the power you need to build a successful life. Your future is shaped by what you consistently do, not what you occasionally intend. You can read the best books, listen to powerful speeches, write down big goals, but none of that will matter if you don't follow through on the basics. Because it's in the basics that trust is born, and trust is the foundation of all real progress. Start today. Choose one small thing and do it, not because it's impressive, not because it's big, but because it's something you promised yourself. Then do it again tomorrow, and the day after that. Over time your mindset changes. You stop needing discipline to force you. You start showing up because it's who you are now. The way you build a strong relationship with yourself is the same way you build one with someone else. You keep your word. You stay consistent. You prove that you can be relied on. And when you do that enough, you create belief. And belief becomes momentum, and momentum builds success. Most people underestimate what they can do in 6 months of small daily effort. They're looking for overnight change. They want fast results, but real progress takes time. It takes patience. It takes discipline. And above all, it takes trust. And you don't get that by doing what feels good in the moment. You get that by doing what's necessary, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. The goal isn't to impress the world. The goal is to become the kind of person you respect. And you do that by winning your morning, by finishing what you start, by sticking to your habits, by doing the small things, even when no one is watching. That's what separates talkers from doers. That's what builds a person who can stand through pressure. If you can't trust yourself to show up for 10 minutes a day, how will you ever believe you can handle bigger challenges? Confidence isn't built when everything is easy. It's built when you take control of the simple things and stay consistent. That's when the noise quiets down. That's when the doubt starts fading. You have to earn your own respect. You do that by doing what you say, over and over again, not for a week, not for a burst of energy, but every day. No matter what, you build trust with yourself through action, not through talk, not through planning, through doing. The person you want to become already exists inside you. They're waiting for you to stop making promises and start stacking proof. So every time you finish that workout, every time you keep your schedule, every time you follow through, you get close, not because you're chasing them, but because you're becoming them. That's how transformation happens. Quiet, steady, intentional. You show up for yourself. You win small battles daily, and you let those wins build your belief. You don't rush. You don't panic. You stay steady, and over time everything starts to change. Not just your results, but how you see yourself. Because once you trust yourself, you don't fear failure. You don't second-guess your moves. You don't wait for signs. You create them. You lead your life with clarity, because you know that no matter what comes your way, you'll keep showing up, and that mindset changes everything. So don't chase the feeling of success. Build the habits that lead there. Don't try to prove yourself to others. Prove yourself to you every day, one small win at a time, and one day you'll wake up and realize you've built someone unshakable, someone who no longer hopes for change, but lives it. That's how you build a life that lasts. That's how you attract success. You become trustworthy to yourself. You stay consistent with your word. You do the small things that matter every single day, and you let those quiet victories shape your future.
Chapter 7. Break the cycle that keeps you stuck inside. There's a point in life when you realize you're not stuck because of what's around you, but because of what's happening inside you. You keep living the same day over and over again, hoping something will change, but it never does. You feel trapped, frustrated, overwhelmed, not because you're incapable, but because you're caught in a loop that keeps repeating itself. A loop of the same thoughts, the same habits, the same emotional reactions, and no matter how much time passes, you keep ending up right back where you started. That's what it feels like when you're stuck inside a cycle, and if you want to attract success, you have to break it. Cycles don't just show up out of nowhere, they're created through repeated decisions. You do something once, then again, and before you realize it, it becomes your normal. You wake up and think the same thoughts. You respond to stress the same way. You give in to the same distractions. You promise you'll change, but your actions repeat the past, and soon your identity is shaped by patterns you never questioned. That's how people get stuck, not because they lack drive, but because they've built a routine that keeps them small. To change your life, you have to break the cycle, and breaking the cycle starts with awareness. You have to stop and take a hard look at how you're living. Ask yourself, what am I doing every day that keeps me in this place? Where do I keep making the same choices that lead to the same outcome? You can't fix what you refuse to face, and the longer you pretend you're not stuck, the deeper the pattern becomes. The mind loves routine, even unhealthy ones, because routines feel safe. Even if they're hurting you, they feel predictable. And the brain is wired to choose comfort over uncertainty. That's why you'll keep going back to the same habits, even if they drain you. That's why you'll repeat the same behaviors, even if they keep you from growing. If you want to escape the cycle, you have to be willing to feel uncomfortable. Breaking the cycle means interrupting what you've accepted as normal. It means doing things you don't usually do. It means choosing a new response when the old one wants to take over. When you feel stressed, don't scroll, breathe.
When you feel unmotivated, don't wait. Move. When your thoughts start spiraling, don't shut down, slow down and listen. These are the small decisions that begin to rewire the pattern. You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. You just need to create small moments of change, moments where you act differently than you used to, because every time you do, you weaken the grip of the old pattern. And the more you do it, the more the new response becomes the default. That's how real change happens, not through force, but through conscious repetition. Most people think breaking a cycle means waiting for the right time, but the right time doesn't exist. What exists is now. Right now, you can make one different choice. You can interrupt the loop. You can challenge the old reaction. That moment, that pause, that new action. That's where freedom begins. That's where your power lives. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be intentional. There's a reason you feel drained, even when you're not doing much. It's because being stuck inside a mental and emotional cycle takes energy. It wears you down from the inside out. You spend so much time managing your thoughts, your regrets, your disappointments, that you have no energy left to build something new. But when you break the cycle, your energy comes back, your focus returns. You start to feel clear again. Not because your life is easy, but because your mind is finally moving forward. One of the most dangerous things about being stuck in a cycle is that it starts to feel like it's who you are. You say things like, "This is just how I am," or "I've always been this way." But those are just patterns talking. That's not your truth. That's not your potential. That's your mind repeating what it knows. And if you let it keep going unchallenged, you'll live the same year for the rest of your life. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to keep living inside the same thought loop. You have the ability to stop it. It starts with questioning your own belief. When your mind says, "I can't do this," ask why. When it says this never works, ask what proof it has. Don't just accept every thought as fact. Most of the time it's just old programming running in the background, and when you challenge it, you weaken. Breaking the cycle also means letting go of the identity you built around the old version of you. Maybe you've always seen yourself as inconsistent. Maybe you've always believed you're not good enough. That story has to change if your life is going to change. And the way you change it isn't by saying affirmations, it's by doing different things. The new story becomes believable when your actions start backing it up. You are not stuck forever. You are stuck in a pattern, and patterns can be broken. But you have to make the decision. No one else can do it for you. People can encourage you, inspire you, guide you, but no one can choose for you. At some point, you have to say, "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not living this way. I'm ready to change." That decision is powerful, not because it magically fixes everything, but because it puts you in control. It gives you direction. It gives you a starting point, and from there it's about consistency. You'll feel the old cycle trying to pull you back. That's normal. It's what the mind does. But now you'll be aware, and awareness gives you the ability to choose differently. You'll have days when you slip, when the old habits come back. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. The key is to recognize it and return to the path. The more often you do that, the faster the new pattern forms. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for progress. You're aiming to be a little more aware, a little more intentional, a little more committed. Every single day, every cycle that keeps you stuck has a trigger. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's loneliness, maybe it's boredom. Pay attention to those moments. They're your training ground. They're the places where change can actually begin. Because when you can pause and respond differently in those moments, you start to feel powerful again. You stop feeling like a prisoner inside your own mind. Breaking the cycle also requires honesty. You have to admit what's not working. You have to stop sugarcoating your behavior. You have to look in the mirror and say, this pattern is costing me too much. Because once you admit that, the pain of staying the same becomes bigger than the fear of changing. And that's when you start moving with purpose. You can't build a new life on top of an old pattern. You have to clear space. You have to let go of the stories that don't serve you. You have to stop giving power to the same excuses, because every time you do, you lose another chance to move forward. It's not easy. It takes effort. It takes patience, but it's worth it. Because once the cycle is broken, you'll feel different. You'll think clearer. You'll act with intention. And that version of you is unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you're no longer held back by invisible chains. So take one small step today. Break one part of the pattern. Say no when you usually say yes. Say yes when you usually avoid. Move forward when you usually freeze. And keep doing that day by day. Moment by moment. That's how you escape the loop. That's how you start a new chapter. And that's how you begin building a life that's no longer controlled by the past, but guided by who you're becoming.
Chapter 8. Act like the person you want to become. You can't become something you never practice. You can't reach the next level of your life while living like the person who's stuck. And the truth is, most people want to change, but they keep behaving like who they've always been. They talk about success while carrying the habits of someone who's not serious. They speak about their goals while living like it's optional. If you want to become someone new, you have to start acting like it now, not when things are perfect, not after you feel ready, but from today. You must start showing up like the person you say you want to become. Your future identity isn't something you discover, it's something you build. Every decision you make is a vote for who you're becoming. You wake up late, scroll your phone, skip your work, that's a vote for the old version of you. You wake up early, take care of your body, get things done on schedule, that's a vote for the next version. It's not just about habits, it's about identity. And the more you act like that future self, the more your brain begins to believe that's who you really are. You don't need to wait to become confident. Confidence is not something you get before action, it's something you earn through it. Want to feel disciplined? Start acting like someone who is better. Want to become focused? Begin making decisions like someone who doesn't waste time. The biggest shift happens when you stop asking, "Can I?" and start asking, "How would the person I want to be act right now?" This is not pretending, it's alignment. When you choose to behave like the future you, you're not lying to yourself, you're aligning with your potential. Too many people get stuck waiting for permission to act different. They wait for approval, they wait for the environment to change. But life doesn't reward waiting, it rewards action. It respects those who choose to lead themselves even when it's uncomfortable. Think about who you want to be 5 years from now. What kind of discipline would that version of you have? What would their mornings look like? How would they speak? How would they treat their body? Now ask yourself, what can you do today that mirrors that version of you? The truth is, you don't magically become that person. You build into them brick by brick through small daily behavior. The reason most people don't change is because they keep separating who they are from who they want to be. They treat it like a gap that will eventually close on its own. But it won't. It only closes when you start narrowing that gap with action. You can't live with lazy patterns and expect a focused future. You can't keep waiting for energy and expect to feel unstoppable. The person you want to become is already possible, but it requires choices that feel unfamiliar, and that's where most people stop. Right at the edge of discomfort. Growth begins when you start doing the things that feel unnatural at first. Waking up earlier, saying no to distractions, speaking with more certainty, holding yourself to higher standards. These actions don't always feel good in the beginning. That's normal.
but they're necessary, because repetition is what turns forced behavior into second nature. And the more you repeat it, the more your mind accepts it as your identity. You have to become very honest with yourself. Ask, are my actions leading me closer to who I want to be? Or are they keeping me tied to the version I'm trying to outgrow? That answer will tell you everything. If you're serious about success, you don't just adjust your goals, you adjust your behavior to match them. And when your behavior shifts, your identity begins to catch up. Stop waiting for inspiration. Stop waiting for a sign. Start moving like the person you dream of becoming. That person doesn't avoid challenges, they lean into them. They don't hide from pressure, they show up for it. They don't keep restarting, they stay consistent. That's the mindset you need to adopt, not just sometimes but every single day. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to transform overnight. But you do need to be consistent. You do need to start making decisions that align with the life you want, not the life you're trying to leave behind. Because every time you show up like that person, you step closer to becoming them. And one day, you won't have to force. You'll look around and realize you've become what you used to only talk about. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you think. Everything begins to shift when you hold yourself to a higher standard, not because someone told you to, but because you decided your old ways are no longer acceptable. That's when real growth begins. Not when things feel easy, but when your standards rise above your excuses. No one becomes successful by accident. It's always the result of consistent action, driven by a clear identity. And if you don't define that identity, your environment will, and it won't always be in your favor. That's why you have to claim it early. You have to say, this is who I'm becoming, and then start proving it with how you live. You'll be tempted to go back to what's familiar. Old habits feel safe. Old thinking feels easier. But remember, those patterns gave you the results you're trying to change. The only way to move forward is to act ahead of where you are. That's how you stretch. That's how you evolve. Every time you act like the person you want to become, you're making progress, even if no one sees it. You're building something that can't be faked. Real growth isn't always visible at first, but over time it becomes undeniable. You start to carry yourself differently. You make better decisions. You say no faster. You focus longer. And you do it because it's who you are, not because someone's watching. If you want to attract success, act successful before it shows up. Not in how much money you have, not in status, but in how you treat your time, how you manage your emotions, how you show up to your responsibilities. That's the real measure. That's where success starts, in the discipline, the mindset, the effort, the respect you give to your future right now. You already know what you need to do. You've seen glimpses of who you could be. The question is, will you act like that person when no one else believes you? Will you show up with the habits, the attitude and the standards of the version of you that's ahead of where you are now? That decision changes everything. Your life won't shift because you wish for it. It will shift because you consistently behave like the person who earns it. So today, decide who you're becoming. Speak like them. Move like them. Choose like them. Over time, those choices will build your future, and you'll wake up in a life that matches the vision you had all along. Not because it was given to you, but because you became the kind of person who made it real. Chapter 9. Challenge your excuses until they disappear for good. Excuses are the invisible chains that hold most people in place. You don't always see them clearly, but they shape everything: your behavior, your results, your confidence. You make an excuse once, then again, and before you know it, it becomes a part of how you live. The truth is, people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they listen to the same excuses long enough that they start believing them. And if you want to attract success into your life, You have to challenge every excuse until it loses its power. You have to stop giving it a place to live. Not sometimes, not when it's easy, every single time it shows up. Excuses come in many forms. I don't have time. I'm too tired. It's not the right moment. I'm not ready. I've failed before. They all sound different, but they do the same thing. They stop progress. They keep you inside the same habits, the same routines, the same cycles, and the longer you let them stay unchallenged, the more they take over your thinking. It's not just about the words you say out loud, it's the quiet justifications you make in your head. The ones you say to yourself when no one else is around. Those are the ones that keep your life small. To break this, you have to become brutally honest with yourself. You have to stop accepting weak reasons as valid explanations. When your mind gives you an excuse, don't agree with it. Question it. Ask, is that really true? Or is that just the easiest way out? Most of the time it's the second one. Because excuses aren't rooted in truth. They're rooted in fear, discomfort, and resistance. They're designed to keep you safe. But safe doesn't build anything. Safe doesn't grow. Safe doesn't lead to transformation. You must create a habit of interrupting the excuse before it takes over. When you say I'll do it tomorrow, ask, why not now? When you say I don't feel like it, ask, when did feelings become the boss of my life? When you say I'm too busy, ask, what am I actually doing with my time? You'll start to see the patterns. You'll see how often your excuses are just dressed up lies that sound reasonable but cost you progress. It's not about never struggling. It's about calling out the lie before it becomes a routine. Everyone gets tired. Everyone has doubts. Everyone feels resistance. But what separates those who succeed is that they don't trust those feelings blindly. They push back. They lead themselves through it instead of listening to it. Excuses are not just obstacles, they're signals. They show you exactly where you need to grow. If you keep making the same excuse in the same situation, that's the area you need to strengthen. That's the spot you've avoided. That's where you've given up your control, and you take that control back by taking action where you normally hesitate. You don't destroy excuses with talk, you destroy them with behavior. Every time you do the thing you were about to avoid, you break the cycle. Every time you show up despite the resistance, you teach your brain that your actions matter more than your stories. That's how you create a new pattern. That's how you build a mindset that doesn't run from challenge. Some excuses are built from past pain. You failed once, and now you use that as a reason not to try again. But failure is not a reason to stop, it's a reason to learn. And if you carry failure like proof that you're not good enough, you're living in a loop that keeps replaying the past instead of building the future. Break that loop. Your failure. Own it. Then ask, what can I do better this time? That mindset pulls you forward instead of holding you down. A big reason people cling to excuses is because they want to protect their image. They'd rather explain why they didn't try than risk trying and not succeeding. But living that way keeps you stuck. You either protect your pride or you protect your progress. You can't do both. Choose the one that leads to growth. Excuses feel good in the moment. They relieve pressure. They give you something to hide behind. But that comfort is short-term. The long-term cost is far greater. It shows up in regret, in what-if thoughts, in wasted years. The moment you feel relief from an excuse, ask yourself what it just stole from you. That one moment of avoiding the work might have delayed your entire future by another day, another week, another month. You will never live a strong life while being controlled by weak thoughts. And every excuse is a weak thought trying to run the show. That voice in your head that says, take it easy, is not your ally, it's your limiter. And you don't silence that voice by hoping it'll disappear. You silence it by proving it wrong again and again. You don't need to become fearless. You need to become honest. Honest enough to admit that your excuses aren't facts. They're stories, and just like stories, they can be rewritten. The person you want to be doesn't rely on excuses, they rely on decisions. And if you want to become that person, you have to start deciding differently. You won't win every battle. Some days the excuse will win, but don't let it win 2 days in a row. That's how habits form. And if you're not intentional, you'll build habits of delay, avoidance, and self-doubt. But if you start challenging your excuses, even just one at a time, you begin to build new habits. You build momentum. You build belief. Think about what your life would look like without excuses. Think about how much more time, energy, and focus you'd have. That version of you is not unreachable. That version is one disciplined choice away. It starts with choosing to take action when your mind gives you a reason not to. Start with today. Notice the moment your mind gives you a way out. Catch it. Then act anyway. Do it tired. Do it distracted. Do it unsure. Just don't let that excuse take control, because the more you let it win, the more your goals lose. And if you want your goals to become reality, you have to stop negotiating with the parts of you that want to stay the same. Excuses are comfortable. Growth is not, but only one of them leads to the life you want. Only one of them will take you to new levels. And the choice is always yours. The moment that thought pops up that says, you can skip it today, is the exact moment you need to act. That's the real test, not when it's easy, but when it's tempting to quit. You don't have to yell at yourself. You don't have to be harsh, but you do have to be clear. Clear about what matters. Clear about what's getting in the way, and clear about the fact that your future is built by the actions you take when you don't feel like it. So the next time you catch yourself hesitating, remember this: your excuse is not stronger than your potential. Your story is not stronger than your effort. Your patterns are not stronger than your ability to change them. What you do in that moment matters. That's where growth lives. That's where success is built. And that's how you finally stop letting excuses run your life, by facing them head on, questioning them out loud, and replacing them with action every single time until they lose their grip for good.
Chapter 10. Earn your confidence through effort, not empty words. Confidence is something people often talk about, but very few truly understand where it comes from. You don't get confidence from compliments. You don't build it by telling yourself empty phrases in the mirror. Real confidence is not loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's built through actions, through work, through discipline. The more you do, the more you trust yourself. The more you show up, the less you need to pretend. Confidence grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but consistently, even when it's difficult. A lot of people try to sound confident. They talk about their dreams. They explain their plans. They repeat catchy lines, hoping it will make them feel powerful. But talking doesn't build anything. It might feel good in the moment, but when it's time to act, there's nothing solid behind it. Confidence that's not backed by effort always collapses under pressure. You can only fake strength for so long before life exposes the truth. And the truth is this: your actions reveal who you really are, not your intentions, not your words. What you consistently do, that's what builds your identity. Confidence is built in private, when no one's watching, when there's no applause, when you do the hard thing anyway. It's built when you don't skip the workout, when you keep writing even if you don't feel inspired, when you stay disciplined even if no one will notice. Those moments don't seem like much, but they build a foundation, a strong one.
One that doesn't shake when life gets tough, because you know what you've been through. You've felt the resistance and moved through it. You've paid the price in effort, and when you've done the work, you don't need to fake anything. You can't talk yourself into confidence. You have to earn it through effort, earn it through discipline, earn it through consistency. That's the kind of confidence that can't be taken away, because it wasn't given to you, it was built by you. And the best part is, it doesn't matter where you start. You could be at the lowest point in your life. You could feel lost, broken, unsure. But the moment you start putting in effort, you begin building belief. You begin building momentum. And every small win becomes a reminder that you're capable of more. People often think confidence is about being the best. It's not. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way. That kind of trust doesn't come from empty promises. It comes from showing up day after day, especially when you don't feel like it, when you act in the face of doubt, when you stay focused while others get distracted, when you commit while others quit. Those are the moments that shape you. Confidence isn't always loud. It's not always visible. Sometimes it's just the quiet strength of knowing you did the work. It's walking into a situation without needing to prove anything. It's knowing you're ready. Not because you said you are, but because you lived in preparation. You trained when it was boring. You practiced when it was lonely. You moved forward when it was unclear. That's where confidence is born. You can't skip the process and expect the result. If you want to feel proud, do something that makes you proud. If you want to feel strong, go through something hard without giving up. If you want to feel focused, remove distractions and protect your time. You don't become confident by chance. You become confident through effort, and that effort must be repeated, refined and respected. There's no shortcut to this. There's no hack, just honest work and a willingness to show up when it's uncomfortable. That's what separates real confidence from surface-level performance. One can weather storm, the other falls apart at the first sign of stress. So ask yourself, am I doing the work, or am I just saying the words? It's easy to say you're committed. It's harder to stay committed when things get hard. And that's where most people stop. They want the reward, but they're not willing to earn it. They want to feel strong, without going through the process that builds strength. But you don't get to skip steps. The people you see with real confidence earned it through failure, through struggle, through consistent progress. They didn't talk their way into it. They acted their way into it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get everything right. You just have to keep showing up, keep trying, keep moving. That's what builds real belief in yourself. Every time you show up for yourself, you take a step away from doubt. And every time you make excuses, you hand doubt the power. You decide which one leads your life. Some people wait for the feeling of confidence before they take action. But the truth is, action comes first. You act, you repeat, and then the feeling comes. You can't wait to feel ready. You create readiness by moving anyway. That's where the strength comes from. That's how you learn to trust yourself again. You might have broken promises to yourself before. You might have said things and didn't follow through. That's okay. You're human. But now it's time to change that. Start small if you have to. Choose one thing. Do it daily. Prove to yourself that you can finish. Then add another, and another. Slowly, your mindset begins to shift. Your confidence starts growing. Not because someone told you you're good enough, but because you've seen yourself follow through. That's how belief is built. Not by hype, not by pretending, but by living in alignment. When your actions match your values, when your habits match your goals, when your time reflects your priorities, confidence becomes the natural result. You don't need to force it. You don't need to force it. You don't need to chase it. You just become it. You're not lacking potential. You're lacking consistent effort. The confidence you're looking for is already inside you. It's just buried under hesitation, doubt and broken routines. Clear it away with action. Push through the resistance. Give yourself permission to become who you know you can be, not through words, but through effort. That leaves no room for doubt. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need more follow-through. Start today. No one else can do this for you. No one else can build your confidence. They can encourage you, but they can't earn it for you. That's your job. And the sooner you start, the sooner the belief begins to grow. You don't get to feel confident and then act. You act like someone who is ready. And over time you realize you were becoming that person all along. Not through inspiration, but through discipline. Not through excitement, but through repetition. You show up. You stay in it. You finish what you start. And before long, you don't need to talk yourself into anything. Because you know who you are. You've earned it. Through effort, not empty words.